Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be doing a video about my pink, it's kind of pink, my fuchsia hair, and just how I got this color and how I maintain this color. And this can be applied to any hair color, it doesn't have to be pink or purple, it can be blue, green, red, you know, whatever color you're doing. And this is just how I got my hair and how I keep it fresh and vibrant, and yeah, So first off, just a disclaimer, I am not a cosmetologist and I do everything at home and I do everything myself, but I have been doing my own hair since like the 7th grade and I've never really had any super bad outcomes or anything, so this is just what works for me. And if you're too nervous about doing something, I would recommend just going to the salon because it might cost more, but in the end it might be what's best for you. So just saying that and putting that out there before we get started. So starting off with bleach, I use the Ion Color Brilliance Powder Lightener, and I've used this really since I've been dyeing my hair, so I've been using this since middle school, and I've just never had any bad experiences with it. It's always worked really well for me. And I have very dark hair, like the color of my eyebrows is my natural hair, and this has always gotten me to a very, very light blonde anytime that I've used it. But if you just go to any beauty supply store, there are so many different types of bleach that I've never really had one that was just terrible, but this has always been my favorite. And if you're going to be bleaching your whole head or bleaching frequently, I would recommend just breaking down and buying one of the tubs instead of buying the little individual packets, because I find that the tub is just more efficient, because I've used multiple full tubs before and it just works out in the end better than just buying the small individual packets, because they only last like maybe one bleach, you know, so it's like it's just worth it to get the tub. And for my developer, I use a 30 volume bleach. When I was younger, I used to use 40 volume, but I found that it was just too harsh on my hair and I got really damaged. And so I find that 30 is the best for me because it will lighten the hair, but it's not so harsh as a 40 or a 50. Do not use a 50. 50 is just beyond anything that you really need. And I've never used a 10 or a 20 because I felt like they just wouldn't really do enough lightening for my personal preference. So I've just used 30. Also, same thing with the tub. If you're getting a lot of your hair bleached, just get one of the big ones instead of the small like travel size, because it's just worth it in the end to get the big ones. Now moving on to the actual color. For this specific color, I used Splat Lusty Lavender, which is supposed to be purple, but it didn't really turn out purple. It turned out kind of pink, but I don't know. I like how it turned out, so I'm not complaining too much. Splat's always been a really good brand for me, and I know that they're not the most like expensive brand or the most like renowned brand, but I mean, for what you're paying for, I think they last pretty well, and they're very very vibrant, and I don't know, I've just never really been disappointed with Splat. And besides Splat, I really like Punky Color and Pravana. I've never really been a big fan of Manic Panic or anything like that. I just found that it faded really quickly and wasn't as bold as I wanted it to be. So for me personally, I like sticking with Splat, Pravana, and Punky Color. And if you're going to be doing pastel colors, I wouldn't recommend using Splat, because if you try to mix it with any conditioners, it's like really clumpy and weird and doesn't really blend out like Pravana or Manic Panic or anything like that would. So I wouldn't recommend this for mixing. I would just use this if you're going to put it straight on your hair. And I've seen a lot of people use Lusty Lavender and have it turn out pink, and I think it only really turns out pink if your hair was blonde, and my hair was a very light blonde before I put this on. And you can see where it's kind of purple in different spots because those spots were darker. So if This would be a really good option if you're wanting purple hair but not wanting to overly bleach your hair. So if you just have like a dark blonde kind of color, you can get a really nice purple. But if you're very blonde, you will turn out pink if you use this. So it's okay. I feel like I kind of look like Lava Girl from The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Now, when people dye their hair an unnatural color, a lot of people complain about fading and the maintenance and the upkeep and all that. So here's the things that I use to keep my hair bright and out there. And for shampoo, I use Blousey from Lush. And if you know anything about Lush, you know that it's kind of expensive. This was around $20, $25, somewhere around there. I don't remember. But it stinks to high heaven. I absolutely hate how it smells. But it's very good for colored hair. It's very good for curly hair. So if you have curly, thick, dry hair like myself, this works really well. And it also helps with dandruff if you have an issue with that. And it doesn't fade out my color at all. And I'll use it like all over my scalp and about halfway down the hair shaft, and it's never really been an issue. It doesn't make my hair frizzy. It doesn't, you know, make it feel gross and weighed down like some shampoos do. So I really couldn't recommend it enough. So if you're willing to spend the money on it, I think it's definitely worth it. And then because my hair is so naturally dry and curly and frizzy, and also because it's dyed and bleached, I use the Ion Repair Solutions Effective Care Treatment, which is kind of like a deep conditioner. And I know a lot of people use this, and for a good reason. It's very conditioning, it smells amazing, it's cruelty-free, and it's just wonderful. I only use this about once a week on my hair because it is so hydrating and so conditioning, because if you use it too much, your hair feels kind of weighed down and greasy. So I would only use these types of things about once a week, or I guess as often as you need if your hair is really super damaged. But for just average hair, I'd say about once a week. And then for styling and just everyday, you know, keeping my hair bright and hydrated, I use It's a 10 Miracle Leave-In product. And this is also kind of expensive, but everybody in my family uses it, so we all just kind of pitch in and buy the big ones. And it helps repair dry and damaged hair, it adds shine, it controls frizz, it seals and protects hair color. It's also a thermal protecting spray. It pretty much does everything. And this has really saved my hair so many times. So if I get out of the shower, I'll just spray it on the ends and then just air dry my hair. Or if I'm straightening my hair, I'll use this as a thermal protecting spray. It does everything, and I honestly don't know what I would do without it. It's so amazing, and I love it. So that's pretty much all I have as far as the products go. So I guess now I'll move on to how I actually got my hair, the color and colors that it is. When I first did my initial bleaching, I did all over the hair, and I generally start in the back and in the under layers, but you can pretty much start wherever you want. But when you're bleaching all of your hair, start at the bottom and go up, because the heat from your head will develop the bleach quicker. So if you put it on your roots first, your roots are going to be very light blonde, almost white, but then the rest of your hair won't develop as quickly. So I would always recommend starting from the bottom and working your way up on the hair. And whether you want to start from the top of the head or the bottom layers is up to you. But I just find it easier to work from the bottom up, because I can just tie everything else up and then just do the bottom and then slowly let the hair down. But that's just what I personally like to do. I leave the bleach on no longer than 30 minutes, but I guess just as long as you're getting the lift that you're wanting. I wouldn't go longer than like an hour at the most. That'd be like really pushing it. But once you are seeing some results, I would recommend just washing it out, because you can always bleach it again in like a week or a month or however long you want to wait. And it's better to do it that way because you won't get as damaged as you would if you just kept it on for a long time. Your hair will get damaged, even if it's not extremely damaged. It's not going to be as just perfect and silky and smooth like it was before you started bleaching. So that's just, it's inevitable. It's gonna happen. But just as long as you take care of your hair and condition it and don't bleach it for long periods of times and don't bleach it frequently, then you shouldn't have a whole lot of damage issues. And the dyes, for the most part, are like zero damage, because a lot of the semi-permanent hair colors are vegetable-based dyes. Like, I know Manic Panic is for sure, and I would assume that some of the others are. But the majority of them are ammonia-free, so they're not going to be as harsh as like a box dye that you would get from the grocery store or something like that. So the dye really isn't the issue, it's the bleach, and you're really just not gonna get this bright of a color if you don't bleach your hair, which is kind of unfortunate, but it happens. Unless your hair is already like really, really blonde naturally, then you're gonna have to bleach it. And as far as the colors go, you can keep them on as long as you want. Some people will put the dye on and put their hair in a cap and sleep with it overnight. I've never personally done that because I just think it's kind of like weird feeling and uncomfortable. But I'll leave mine in for maybe about an hour or so, depending on how much time I have. Like if it's a school night or something, I might just leave it on for 30 minutes. But if it's the weekend or something, I can leave it on for an hour or more. Yeah, and there's really no rhyme or reason for putting on the color. It's not the same as when you put on the bleach, where you have to like avoid putting it on the roots first. I find with doing the actual dyeing, it's a lot easier to put it on the roots first and then work out, so you can make sure all of this is covered, because if you don't get your roots covered, it can look really super ridiculous sometimes. So just kind of do it how you want to. Some people just put it on, and some people, you know, divide their hair into different sections. I think whatever works for you. And if you don't have any kind of like three-way mirrors or any way to see the back of your head, have somebody help you, because you don't want to look like a fool with like pink hair in the front and then just like blonde patches in the back, because I've definitely done that, and it's embarrassing because people will point it out and people will make fun of you for it. So just have a parent or a spouse or anybody, a friend, just help you reach the back, because it's definitely worth it. The dye does stain, and for keeping the dye off of my skin, I use petroleum jelly or just Vaseline, and I'll put it all around my face, on my ears, and my neck, and my arms, because I tend to get splashes on my arms. So yeah, and please wear gloves. I've seen people not wear gloves and they just look like Oompa Loompas or something. They look ridiculous when they're done dyeing their hair and it's just completely covered, and it takes a few days to like fully wash off. So just wear gloves. It's not that hard to wear gloves. I don't know why people make a big deal out of it. Also, washing your hair in cold water is really helpful, because it'll maintain the color longer, because when you use a hot water or a warm water, it kind of opens the hair shaft and the color will start fading quickly. So if you're trying to fade your color, that's something that you can do, and that's what I do when I'm in between shades. I'll start using warm water to try to get the color out, so I don't have to go in with bleach or anything again when I don't need to. So that's pretty much it. That's really all that there is to having colored hair. I probably skipped over a few things, but I think I pretty much covered all the basics and all the things that need to be covered. So I hope this was helpful in some kind of way, and I hope you maybe learned something or found a few tips and tricks or something along those lines. So yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.